over money, things can get nasty. What if your partner was spending money without your knowledge? Is it the same as cheating?
Actually, it was quite similar to a case of infidelity.
Plus, simple steps you can take to save thousands in legal costs in the event of a loved one passing away. We learn about the necessities of a will. And I'll be answering your questions.
Whether moving to another country on a permanent basis would mean a considerable drop in the pensions.
In this week's Ask Pattie segment.
Well, money is always an issue in relationships, so I think that if someone's spending out of control, especially if it's not their money coming in, it causes a pretty big problem.
A lot of couples fight over money and finances.
There is usually one person who spends more in a relationship than the other.
If it's hidden, it's a big problem for any relationship. I mean, it's a logical conclusion. You don't want your partner spending all what you work for.
Welcome. Family life is not easy at the best of times, but when you throw money issues into the mix, you can have an all-out feud. Financial issues can be the root cause of many couples' fights and even divorce. And it's not uncommon in a relationship for one person to be the saver and the other to be the spender. But what happens when the spending gets out of control? I had a chance to talk with psychotherapist Kimberly Moffit about dealing with an out-of-control spender. Kimberly, let's talk about couples and money. One spends, one saves. Do they have any chance of making it?
Actually, you might be surprised by this, but if one person's a spender and one person's a saver, there is a way that this couple can make it, even though they have different views of money. And the way that couples can do this is if they're really good communicators. My best piece of advice for couples and money is to over-communicate rather than under-communicate. And this piece of advice is great for all relationships, for family, and as well for money. So when couples are able to communicate what do they want, what their intentions are, and how they plan to execute it, they're better able to be aware, and their expectations in those situations are indeed met.
Now, what happens, though, if a trust has been broken when it comes to money? You promised you wouldn't spend, but you went ahead and did it. How do you get over that?
You know, it's really difficult for couples because most of the time, even though it's easy to agree on money objectives and goals, it's actually not so easy to execute your money plan. So what happens is couples will agree on a plan of action, and then one person gets a little sidetracked and has some impulse purchases, or they get distracted or tempted by things that they want to do or things that they want to spend money on, and all of a sudden they've spent money. And and really, when it comes to the couple's money plan of action, this is a betrayal of trust.
So Kimberly, can you give me an illustration of somebody that you've worked with who had a money issue and how they were feeling and why they came to you?
Sure. Well, the person I'm thinking of is actually a young professional woman who was making a significant amount of money. She was really high up in her professional status. And the interesting thing is she did have a family, a husband and 2 children, and she got herself into a real financial mess. And the problem was that she was addicted to shopping and shopping for high-end clothing that she really didn't need, but she felt was justifiable because of this amazing and lucrative career that she had. But the trouble was, even though her career was lucrative and earning her a lot of money, she was spending almost the same amount of money or more on all of these indulgences that she had.
And no one knew.
And nobody knew.
What did this do to the family?
It was a huge impact on not just the family, but the marriage. The husband felt absolutely betrayed and felt like he could not trust her to make financial decisions, even though she was the primary earner in the family. So this created a lot of tension and actually was quite similar to a case of infidelity.
So then what do you do and how do you go about repairing this?
So first and foremost, the client came to therapy. And I think that's such a huge step in achieving your goals if there is mistrust in the relationship. Second of all, we worked on repairing the trust in the relationship with her and her husband, getting past this betrayal. The third thing we did was identifying the core need for spending money. Why was she addicted, and what was the impulse for her that really drove her to spend? The fourth step was creating a financial budget with her husband. So for her, this was necessary. Not every couple needs to do this, but when you're really overspending, it's important to kind of pull things back and hold each other accountable. And finally, we worked on setting some financial goals for the couple. What did they hope to do with that money that they've saved? And where did they eventually hope to go with their relationship and with their 2 children?
Kimberly, this sort of process and advice, is it applicable to anyone?
Definitely. You know, the one thing I really want to emphasize is that even though lots of couples are in kind of a destructive pattern in their relationships as far as money and spending, it is very, very common. So it may not be normal or healthy, but it's common, and lots of couples go through it. So if you think you're going through a rough time in your finances and you want to talk about it, definitely seek help.
Kimberly mentioned setting financial goals together to help repair a damaged relationship. So let's say you want to go on a dream vacation and it costs $5,000. This is a great opportunity for both of you to get excited about a goal that you can work towards together. So how do you save for it? Well, $100 a week will add up to about $5,000 a year. And here are 3 things you can do to save that $100 a week for your dream vacation. Now, the first might be date night must be free. It's about time together. It's not about the money. You could save maybe $50 a week doing that. Set a menu so you buy and throw out fewer groceries, and easily you could save $20. And make lunches for the week and do it together. And I know you can save $30 here. So in less than a year, you will be drinking a pina colada on the beach. All right, coming up next, wills and estate planning